You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 85. What's your word of the year? Thank you so much for tuning in this week. For many of you, this is a holiday week as this dropped on Christmas Eve. And I wanted to make sure that I brought to you an episode that was relevant and timely and short and sweet, packed with value. So thank you so much for joining me this week. If you are an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. My goal today is for you to start thinking about what your word of the year should be and how to put it into practice so that you can take consistent action on it throughout the next year. I'm really looking forward to bringing this episode to you because you will discover why you need a word of the year, what to do once you've chosen it, strategies for getting the most out of your word, tips for staying laser focused on it, and so much more. So let's dive right in and get straight to it. 2019 is right around the corner. Can you feel it? It feels like it's coming on so quickly. But I have a question for you. In the planning of the new year and the business planning and the goal setting, have you decided on your word of the year? Perhaps you're listening to this episode or read the title of this episode and you're thinking, what are you talking about for the word of the year? Or maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about and you're listening because you can't wait to hear what my word of the year is. Either way, you are certainly in for a great episode. When I am referencing what is your word of the year, I am talking about a word that represents your intention to reach your most important overarching goals in the new year. For example, it could be something like abundance, gratitude, growth, profits, service, ask, aim, delegate, scale, focus, persistence, consistency, networking, visibility, or any other word that you want to focus on achieving or doing in 2019. The first question that I'm going to answer is, can it be more than one word? Am I really implying that this needs to be a singular word that is overarching over all your goals, both personally and professionally? Well, there's no hard and fast rule here. I have really looked at this exercise as creating intention. And with that intention, creating the focus to achieving that. So while there's no hard and fast rule of whether you can have one word or multiple words, I personally feel like that having multiple words actually divides your attention and focus over multiple goals. And I have yet to see that really turn out in any kind of good way. I know that when you are laser focused on an intention or a goal, when you are not dividing your energy, you're much more likely to hit that goal. And for goodness sakes, if you select one word and you just slay it and knock it out of the park and you're 6 months in, you are free to choose another word to focus on. But when we're trying to focus on two things at once, sometimes that can be really conflicting and not allow us to focus on that intention as this exercise would invite us to do. So I am inviting you to select one word. Now, the exception to this is that perhaps you select a word for your business or professional life, and then you select one word for your personal life. In the past, I've always selected one word for both and have found ways to pull it together, both personally and professionally. But if you're looking for your word and you're trying on words and you're working on this and you simply can't find a word that fits both personally and professionally, feel free to select two different words. Let me give you an example of a word and how that could actually show up both personally and professionally. Let's just say your word is growth. You could niche that down into what growth looks like in your personal life. For example, in your relationship with yourself, with your relationship with others, in personal development, your family, your community. Then what does growth look like and show up as in your business? Does this look like hiring employees, offering a new service, increasing your income, taking on more clients, getting really clear with what that word means in different areas of your life? Which leads me to my next question that I will answer. How do I use my word of the year? The way I use my word is to filter every opportunity and project that comes my way or that I dream up against my word, which affects my decision making. Your word can be very inspiring. My word, for example, drum roll, is for 2019, ask. As in going for the ask. If I find myself wanting something, I am going to fall back to ask. Asking is my intention for the coming year. And I am going to do that in multiple ways, both personally and professionally. I have been strategizing and figuring out, what does this look like? What does this mean? Going for the ask, and how does that show up in both my personal and professional life? So, if I want more help at home, I'm going to ask. If I want my personal relationships to look a certain way, I'm going to ask. If I want better detail from my employees or a different result or experience from my employees, I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask for a particular client. I'm going to ask to speak on specific stages and on particular podcasts. I am going to ask. And I can get so excited. I actually am so excited about this word because I not only chose the word that just really felt right for me and what I believe is my focus for 2019. Once I chose the word and then started looking at all the ways that that can show up, I am just so excited about what that's going to look like. Now, I have already talked to my team about the word. I've already talked to them about what that looks like. And I've asked them to also partner with me as I live out this word, right? As I live it out in my decisions, as I live it out in strategies for my business, as I live it out when there's hard decisions to be made. Oftentimes, should I ask? Should I talk myself out of it? Maybe I'm not ready. And the answer is always going to be go for the ask. Now, what was my word last year? Last year, my word was scale. Now, everyone has a different definition or experience of scale. And in fact, you may find that to be true with the word you choose. What I love about this is that it is such an exercise for you and just you. The word you choose can have any meaning that means something to you, if that makes sense. The word scale to me showed up throughout 2018 in multiple ways. I went from a one-to-one business model to one-to-many to scale and leverage my time so that I could serve more people and reclaim my time. I scaled my team in my home and in my business. I gathered support wherever I needed it. Scaling helped me multiply myself in all areas where I wear different hats. And therefore, I scaled in my income. Truly, after choosing the word scale, I saw so many opportunities to live that out in 2018. And similar to what I was explaining and how I see living this word ask out in 2019. Now, the next question that I'm going to answer for you is, okay, Amber, so I pick a word. Well, what do I do next? And what do I do with it? And what does that actually mean? It's really, really simple. Once you choose your word, it's not enough to just know it, because oftentimes I've talked to people at the beginning of a year and they have their word, and then towards the end of the year or even halfway through the year, they don't even remember the word they chose. So again, this is an exercise of setting intentions and then living out that intention and envisioning what that looks like. So once you've set your word, write down whatever comes to mind and how your word could be lived out in your business and perhaps your personal life. I wrote down the word ask so that it could kind of journal about it, right? So I actually wrote down the word going for the ask. So it's a phrase for me. If I had to actually say the word, it's ask. But for me, whatever's going on in my head is I keep saying the words going for the ask. So I took a piece of paper and I wrote down going for the ask, and I started just writing down everywhere that could actually show up for me. For me, I wrote down going for the ask can support my speaking goals. It will fill up my group coaching goals. It will help me with personal development goals, and so on and so forth. And this was really just journaling via bullets. If you have a clear direction on how you want to take your intentional action on your word, you will more likely do so. So this is not just about intention like I'm talking about, but it's envisioning. So intention plus envisioning, and then taking the action to live this out on a daily basis in your life. Next, how to keep your word front and center. Now, I love this because, having our word could just drift off into after the chaos of the new year and the excitement we're off in the first of the year. And so I really like having ideas of how you can keep your word front and center. So here are some things. Your word can easily be lost or forgotten if you keep it to yourself and only in your own brain. So like I said, share it with your team, share it with your family and your best friend and your masterminds or whomever and wherever you find support. I want to share with you some fun ways to keep your word front and center so that you can continue to be laser focused on achieving it in 2019. One way is to have something created to hang it on your wall. I am actually entertaining the idea of creating some sort of metal cutout or decal or framed picture. I'm actually still determining what that looks like. However, I have the space on my wall that I know and where it's going to go. So have something created to hang on your wall with the words. You can actually even create something in Canva, which is a free online design program, and then print it out. Put the word on your vision board. If you have not yet done a vision board, or if you have, you can revise it and put your word front and center on your vision board. Another way is to add it as a screensaver. So this could be a screensaver on your desktop, computer, laptop, or on your phone. Another way is to actually write it on a rock, which I did recently this year and last year at a conference that I went to. They actually did this exercise as well and provided rocks to write on with those little paint markers. And so I've always had the rock with the word on my desk. I have a piece of jewelry made. I'm actually narrowing down my decisions as I record this. I have been surfing Etsy for some pieces of jewelry. I found this beautiful sterling silver bracelet where they'll engrave any word that you want. And so I'm looking at having that done as well so that I can wear it and just have it in front of me. And then, in those moments where it's like, do I go for the ask or what do I do? Or you're hemming and hawing in your business, you can literally, look down at your word. Maybe your word is grace and you need to be reminded on a daily basis to have grace with yourself. Maybe your word is focus and you find yourself in chaos and distracted, and looking down at a piece of jewelry or a rock on your desk is going to remind you to take a breath and focus. Another way is to write it down on your mirror. In your mirror while you get ready in the morning, it could be next to your affirmations. You can have a shirt made. I have seen some really cool things on Etsy as well to have shirts made and clothing and stuff like that. Personally, I wouldn't do that because I can't actually see the word once I've created the shirt. I would rather have something where I just subtly wore every day as a constant reminder. Another cool way to be reminded is to set up Alexa, Echo, or Google Home to remind you on a daily basis about your word of the year. There's this really cool feature where you can set up routines. And one of the routines could be when you wake up in the morning and you say, good morning, it can actually feed back to you a word of the day. So I would definitely do a little bit of research on how you could do that. So if you are in, having a smart home setup, you definitely know what I'm talking about with regards to being reminded by Alexa, Echo, or Google Home. Okay, lastly, now I mentioned this first, but I do want to circle back on this. Announce it to your friends or your community or your colleagues for external accountability. Back in episode 71 of 6 quick tips for meeting your internal deadlines, I shared with you ways in which you can create the external accountability. And I think that this is one of those. If you were to go through this exercise and create your word of the year and then not tell anybody, I'm not certain that you would get the support and accountability that you need to fully live out your word of the year. So I'm inviting you to share that. And for sure, the best place to share that is inside our Productivity Straight Talk private community over on Facebook. And if you're not already a member, you can join us for free at productivitycommunity.com. And that is an amazing place to jump on, share your word of the year, and share with us on how you plan on living that out. Now, you can be super creative with the ways you keep your word front and center, and I would love to hear the ways in which either you're already doing because you practice this word of the year exercise already, or when I'm sharing this with you, you came up with a really cool way to make it front and center and reminded daily what that word is. Lastly, I actually got this question thrown out to me inside my group coaching and training program, Stop the Entrepreneur's Success Solution. We did this exercise together, and one of the questions that came up was, do I need a new word every year? And my response is, as entrepreneurs, we are always evolving. And as such, it makes sense to have a new year after, you've worked through last year's word, or you've, reached the intention that you had set from the last year. However, if you didn't slay last year's word and think that it needs to be some additional work in 2019, or you were so happy with the results of last year's words that you want to see how far you can take it this year, feel free to use the word again. Again, I'm kind of a rule breaker. I don't think that there's one rule that says you have to have a new word of the year. If your word that you currently have or that you created and maybe lost focus on feels right for you again, then do it again and recommit to it, and maybe go about it with a little more intention and clarity of how that's going to show up in your business and life. Now, I have a little story to share with you about Linda. Linda is in my Stop program, and her word last year was consistency. And she's the one that asked, hey, can I have the word consistency again next year? And just think how ironic that is. She wants to have the word consistency 2 years in a row. And for her, I said, absolutely, because she's so much clearer on how and what that's going to look like in 2019. And because her word of the year was consistency in 2018, she saw the benefits of what showing up in her business and taking action looked like on a consistent basis. And so if it's already working for you and you want to double down on it next year, then go for it. Now, I have just spent the last 15 minutes or so encouraging you to choose your word of the year and act on it. So to close, I'm going to act on my word of the year by going for the ask. As we approach 2019, I've been thinking a lot about how I'm going to reach my goals. And not just thinking, but creating those strategic plans with the tactics below them on exactly what this is going to look like. And while I keep coming to you with tips and strategies to improve your productivity and accomplish your goals, I'm hoping that this time you can help me reach one of my big goals. And that is, I want to get my message out on how productivity can elevate your business and life. And I want to get it out to entrepreneurs who need this message. So here's my ask. If you want me to come speak for your chapter, organization, or association in 2019, I invite you to reach out before my calendar fills up. I have a specific goal of how many times I'm going to speak in 2019. And if you think that I would be of value and benefit to your local chapter or association or organization, then I would love for you to reach out to me. And you can do that simply by just emailing me at amber@theproductivityspecialist.com. Again, that's amber@theproductivityspecialist.com. Or I am opening enrollment for the second round of Stop the Entrepreneur's Success Solution. If you're not already familiar with it, it's my virtual group coaching and training program that helps move your business from train wreck to full steam ahead. And if you want to get on the fast track to success in the new year, come see what it's all about. Head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com. Stop, STOP. If you are even remotely interested in this program, I would definitely urge you to go take a look at it now and take action, and reach out to me if you want to schedule a call to make sure that this program is a fit for you. The last run of this program was completely sold out, and I expect this one to be as well. I am only opening this up for 12 spots starting in January. So make sure you head on over and check it out and see if this is what you need to slay your goals in 2019. You just got to hear me use my word and to put it into action, going for the ask. I am encouraging you to not just find your word, but go take action on your word. Put it front and center and make it the intention for your overarching goals of 2019. Are you ready to power up your productivity? Get clarity and insights to move your business forward? Of course you are. It's time to achieve success in a big way, and I've got good news for you. You're only one step away from your success breakthrough. Apply today for your free productivity power-up at successbreakthroughsession.com. Head on over to successbreakthroughsession.com. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, but the time has come for me to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So don't just put this episode in the bucket of, that's a good idea, maybe someday. I really want you to take action. If this episode moved you and inspired you to go find your word, then do the thing, and not just find the word to check the exercise off a box, which we can find ourselves doing from time to time. I really want you to take the time to journal it out and determine how is this going to show up in your business and personal life so that you have that much more clarity as you move forward into 2019. I have a special thank you going out to Lennox, who recently said, Amber's podcast packs so much punch. She's already snagged some great guests and has great rapport with them. Her tips are actionable, relevant, and effective, and her voice is incredibly appealing. I highly recommend. Thank you so much for taking the time of leaving that review for me on iTunes. I really appreciate it. And if you have not already done so, please feel free to go leave me a review over at iTunes as well. So that's my straight talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.